Welcome into CHGO Tavern Style. I'm Vinnie from CHGO White Sox.
And I'm Will Gottlieb from CHGO Bulls.
And you're watching this wonderful program, which of course is presented by the fine folks over at Salerno's Pizza. You can get yourself a Salerno's Pizza if you go on over to their Grand Avenue location in Westtown. Just dial up 312-666-3444. You can make a reservation, or maybe you don't even have to get up off your couch at all. You just order a pie.
Order for takeout, man.
There you go. That's how it goes. We're talking rebuilds today. We got the Bulls guy, we got the Sox guy here, so we're going to talk rebuilds and exactly how difficult it might be for the Bulls and or White Sox to engineer a successful rebuild. We'll fill this NBA ignoramus in on just how difficult it is to rebuild in the National Basketball Association.
The exact same question for baseball in a few minutes here. Look, the first step is admitting you have a problem. The Bulls this year, they realized, Arturas Karnisovas, Vice President of Basketball Operations, came out and said, this thing that we've been doing, making the play-in and not making the playoffs the last 2 years, it hasn't been working. And he followed up on his promise. He traded Alex Caruso for Josh Giddey. You get younger. You know, we could talk about whether Giddey is a foundational piece or not, but they made a trade for a younger player. They drafted Modest Buzelis, who is a project, Chicago area product. He's going to be, he's an upside play. And that's kind of what you need to do to kick this thing off. So you get started by bringing in some younger talent, some younger players. You sign Jalen Williams. You commit to Patrick Williams. And you start to kind of build this thing up from the ground. The issue or the challenge for the Bulls is going to be retaining their pick. Next year, they have to give their pick to the San Antonio Spurs if it falls outside the top 10. So basically, what you have to do is commit to being really bad this year. You keep your pick. Next year's draft is going to be loaded. Cooper Flagg is the headliner. There's a ton of really great players.
Cooper Flagg? That sounds like a comic book character.
It sounds like a made-up name, but he is the truth. He's going to be awesome. And if the Bulls can get him, now you've got your foundational player. You've got Kobe White, Ayo Dosunmu, Patrick Williams, Jalen Smith, a good crop of young players to build with. Josh Giddey's in there as well. So that's really the recipe, and it's just a matter of committing to it for a couple of years, being okay with being bad so that you can boost the value of your own draft pick. Maybe you collect a few along the way in some trades, but that's really the recipe, and that's what the Bulls have to prioritize.
Well, that doesn't sound nearly as dire as what's going on the South Side, because in baseball, it takes quite a bit of time to get something like this done. You're talking about guys who are currently on the Bulls roster being a part of the next good Bulls team. We're talking about the best players on the White Sox roster right now being traded to get the players who in 4 or 5 years will be on the next good White Sox team. That's a sad state of affairs for fans, but it's not a blueprint that really hasn't worked. If you look to the north side, what the Cubs were able to do when they ended up winning the World Series in 2016, the Astros are the team who have done it probably the most successfully, but man, they were bad for a long time. And you've got a Baltimore Orioles team right now that looks like they're going to be the next great team. They were terrible for a really long time, so they could be in a position to get all the players who are making them good at the moment. So for the White Sox, it's going to be a multi-year affair, and basically the idea is bring as much young talent into your organization, not adding it to the big league roster anytime soon, but as much young talent as you can so that one day a collection of those players can be that contending team. Of course, White Sox fans are going to be well within their right to be skeptical, because this is what the White Sox just tried to do, and it did not come anywhere close to living up to the hype. You got to remember, prospects are great. It's great to have the #1 farm system and stuff like that, but they don't always pan out. And so there's going to be a lot of work and a lot of losing that goes on. It sounds like the Bulls are in a little bit better position.
Well, I had a similar conversation with Sean a couple weeks ago about this, and at that point it was like the decision to go for it here. That was really the biggest barrier to entry. They've made that decision, and that does set them up a little bit more to where you can do this thing a little bit more quickly. But draft picks are super valuable in the NBA. I think with baseball, at least you can maybe get some talent in some of the later rounds. So committing to being really bad this year, I think, is going to be the key for the Bulls. That's a hard thing to do because there's other teams that are just going to be tanking for the bottom. And so there's competition in that direction too, but that is really like the biggest thing the Bulls can do this year. And if they do that, I think they are actually in pretty good shape.
Oh, well, there you go. A glint of optimism for the team on the west side.
A couple of weeks ago.
Remember, guys, if you are hungry for a contender, you might be hungry for pizza too. Go ahead and give the folks over at Salerno's a call, 312-666-3444. You can make a reservation to eat over there in Westtown, or just order a pie and stay at home in your pajamas. So for Will Gottlieb, I'm Vinnie Duber. This has been CHGO Tavern Style. Thanks for watching.
We all silly like the mayor.